constantly pushing down and rejecting a part of you, that pain is a part of you that happened in your experience, that happened in your personal reality, that happened in your personality. You know, this 3D like analog memory system, which just doesn't work if you want to heal and if you want to evolve and if you want to, you know, have a different dimensional experience, you know. And then we, as humans, also manifested the Zetas coming because we were doing the same thing. We were pushing down all of our trauma and tuning out and depressing all of our shit. This is quantum healing work. This is holographic healing at another level. Hey family, welcome to our cosmic channel with me, Kate, where we discuss galactic knowledge and wisdom from within. So today I'm going to talk about healing emotions. Really rejecting emotion. You know, what it means to reject emotion really at a deep level, psychological level, with some, you know, kind of beautiful metaphors always to help us understand. I'm really just talking about, you know, how we can notice that, why it's important, and really using a heart-centered approach. So our tendency to always reject pain is something that's seemingly inherent within us. We just have this tendency to always reject pain, which is fair enough. You know, why would we want to embrace something that's so uncomfortable? You're naturally always going to want to be pushing it away, pushing it down. But the truth, you know, the higher truth of the matter remains that pain is just part of our experience. It's part of the human experience. And to reject a part of your experience ignites a chain of reaction like the growth of a virus, which is super fucked up when you think about what's been going on recently. Yeah, just constantly pushing down and rejecting a part of you. That pain is a part of you that happened in your experience, that happened in your personal reality, that happened in your personality. That is part of you, created you, and pushing that away, pushing that down. You know, and what we're talking about here is that pushing away a part of you, not feeling it in its wholeness, it's a domino effect. You know, it's a bad trajectory that will ignite a chain reaction, this domino effect, like a growing virus. So it's serious, you know, that's the metaphor, but it's serious stuff to think about. And this habit of rejecting emotion will spread, and it will start to include even positive experiences, so that you won't even be able to feel positive stuff anymore, positive emotions. How horrible is that? And I could totally, you know, it's fair enough, you know, not wanting to feel the pain and not wanting to feel uncomfortable and just be like, yeah, I'm just not going to feel that. I'm just not going to feel that. Like, not today. But then realizing, you know, the significance of that becoming a habit, leading to ultimately you not even being able to feel joy or happiness anymore, is like a massive flag, you know, like a huge wake-up call, you know, to realizing, you know, that you're going to have this numbness if you don't stop this habit of rejecting pain and rejecting emotion. So in its natural state, emotion is inherently neutral. Emotion is an inherently neutral response to stimuli, okay? External stimuli, which makes sense. So when it's unblocked and when it's allowed to flow, its essence is like a river, and it comes and goes, and it cleanses you along the way if you just allow it to. And that is a healthy, free-flowing emotion that connects you with the present moment and never attaches you to the past. So that makes so much sense. You know, this is that whole idea of grappling with 3D mechanisms and 3D systems, where you feel pain, you feel discomfort, you feel uncomfortable with something, and you use your 3D memory, like your linear systems that you're familiar with, to identify, you know, what it is that's making you feel that way, you know, using your mind to figure out what's going on here. And that can lead to all sorts of unnecessary, you know, all sorts of messy complications, you know, like just complexities, you know, things that don't make sense, you know, fantasizing, catastrophizing about why you're feeling a certain way, literally just making stuff up because the mind can't cope with it. So that's what we're talking about in terms of, you know, this 3D like analog memory system, which just doesn't work if you want to heal, and if you want to evolve, and if you want to, you know, have a different dimensional experience, you know, where you're not grappling with these linear 3D mechanisms, i.e. you have a holographic experience of it where you can just allow it and allow the emotion and sink into the emotion. And, you know, some really amazing, like incredible things have happened to me when I really just like dove off into my emotion, just like swam with it, you know, just went with my emotion, like really went so deep and allowed whatever pain that was coming up. So much stuff happens. Like, I've literally felt God's love. I've had intense memories, past life memories, because, you know, your past life memories, all memories are emotion based. That's how we remember. That's where the memory is stored, in emotion. That's why this is so important. So, you know, imagine it's like a river, the emotion, and it comes and goes and it cleanses you along the way, and that is a healthy, free-flowing state of emotion that connects you to the present moment and never attaches you to the past. Okay, literally 3D versus 5D in like the most basic way. This is the natural expression of an integrated being. It's all about integration, all of it. And at the current state of our development, we still rely loads on people that raised us, our parents, and society in general. That's, at the moment, you know, how we're developing as humans. That's how it is. That's how it works. Our parents raise us, and we absorb everything that they teach us, everything that they give us. So our development relies so much on the state of our parents and the state of society. Hugely. And we literally rely on that in modeling emotional behavior. So if your role models create shame or punishment around emotional experience by rejecting their emotions or glorifying the drama of emotions or any other unbalanced emotional expression, the child, us as children and children being born now, they learn that pattern of emotional expression or emotional non-expression, and we carry it into our life. So this unexpressed emotion, it's pure energy. It's energy. Everything's energy. So unexpressed emotion has to go somewhere. So because it's energy, has to move. So if it's not expressed, it buries deep within the body, into your organs, your joints, your muscles, and in our cells even, at the cellular level. And the energy imprints of these rejected emotional states, the imprints of that rejected emotion bury themselves into the psyche. So you've got these imprints of, non-expressed rejected emotion that's not going anywhere. It's there. It's just like getting even deeper into your psyche, burying itself there. And then it will have like a ripple effect, and it will emulate unconsciously through your behaviors. So when you're younger, maybe you can notice it. But when you get older and it's more habitual, it takes more and more energy to stop those ripples from being, a fucking tidal wave, which is what I mean about, the explosiveness of it, the over expression of it, I guess, in a way. It's unbalanced. And the result, as we well know, the result of this type of emotional suppression includes health conditions, mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, also physical, migraines, volatile, explosive anger, all of those things. So when these issues come up, the last thing we want to do is address them sometimes. So the cycle goes on. The cycle just perpetuates. And what happens, which is really fucked up, is a state of being will emerge in which you can't even connect with positive emotions. Like, let alone the negative ones. No positive emotions and no negative emotions. You're just completely numb. Trying to block out the negative naturally means you're blocking out the positive. You're basically just a robot. You're just a robot clamoring around town, putting out all your shit and unconscious bullshit on everyone with your unconscious behaviors. You're just a menace to society if you're doing that. It's not fair. It's not fair on you. It's not fair on others. You gotta think about this shit. Just think about it. And in our galactic family, my favorite subject, entire species, entire planets have nearly become extinct because of this exact refusal to address emotional energy. The Zetas and the Pleiadians are two important examples. The Zetas would not address their fear of extinction. because they couldn't reproduce, and they just, dug themselves underground, started cloning. All they did was use their intellect to push through their fear of annihilation. To the point that they literally got to the point where they were like completely cut themselves off from their emotions and realized that life wasn't worth living, and called out to God, the higher forces, and said, help us, please. And that's why Zetas came back in time and are working with us, back from the 40s, etc., from the same time as obviously there was the atomic bomb. And then we, as humans, also manifested the Zetas coming, because we were doing the same thing. We were pushing down all of our trauma and tuning out and depressing all of our shit, so much, and it was so bad. So it's, everything's impeccable, everything's perfect in the universe. It makes total sense. And with the Pleiadians, they refused to acknowledge their pain. They were very much on like the toxic positivity route, and they just refused to acknowledge pain, acknowledge the shadow, and they had an awful virus that almost completely wiped out their planet. And it was only when their shamans, and their priests again called out to God and the higher realms and the higher consciousnesses, and they said, you've got to start acknowledging and knowing the other parts of you, the darker shadow parts of you. You have to acknowledge those aspects. They need to be seen and honored. And that's what the Pleiadians really learn, the hard way. And it's fucking crazy how similar, how fucking similar that is. And that's why these stories are so important. Because yes, they are stories, but they have meaning, like with myth, and archetypes. That's what it is. But it is also true. There definitely are Zetas and Pleiadians. It's the same. We're manifesting those stories because everything is a story. Our life is a whole story. Everything's all, and then, when you get to those higher levels of consciousness and you see how truly beautiful and impeccable everything is, that's, those states of consciousness, it's all a symphony, a musical, it's a dance, it's gorgeous, it's perfect, and when you start having those revelations from those states of consciousness, that is really helpful in these practices of going through the dark emotions, because you just know at that deeper level that everything is love, anyway. So yeah, that really helps. So there are these, from the pushing down of emotion, these ideas, there's become, these elaborate philosophical and spiritual systems which, play to the Pleiadians, that were created encouraging this repression, deluding people into believing that, those practices represent a higher spiritual evolution. So like that's that whole, toxic positivity thing. It's really damaging. Super damaging. It's not, light and love is super important. And it's good to know at the high levels, but it's also important to honor where we are, honor where we are at our level, we're still in 3D, 4D, whatever. So I would say that, we've been humans, we've been sort of dangerously balancing on like the precipice of just this total denial and avoidance. Not anymore. We're like fully waking up. But there definitely was a point where that was happening. And this is reversing, and we're understanding about the shadow 100% and healing. And that has to come through each of us at the personal level. We have to own it, own it. And that will ultimately affect the collective as a whole. It's just how it works. It's the holographic principle. And that is a huge responsibility. That is a responsibility. But more than that responsibility is this idea that we need to learn to reframe our relationship to emotions, starting at this personal level. Okay? Reframe our relationship to the emotion at the personal level. Everything is at the personal level. It's all from within. And it is simple. It is simple. Just being present. It always all comes down to that, isn't it? Just be present. Just be conscious. By being present and beginning to notice what physical symptoms are repeatedly coming up, and then change the relationship to view that as trapped emotional energy. So once you view these physical symptoms as trapped emotional energy and sit with them regularly and just start breathing with them and really feel what that is from beyond the physical level, it opens up a quantum doorway. And in that moment, as you become present with the breath and the energy of the physical symptom, a quantum doorway will arise. And as you allow the painful experiences to arise, just let that emotion flow with your breath. And try your hardest not to stray from it. Just do it repeatedly. Repeat it over and over and over until it becomes a habit, and you'll start tangibly feeling the results. So just sit with your emotion. If you find that you're having anxiety, just sit with it, breathe, acknowledge it, feel it, honor it, and then let it go. So as you breathe in, feel it, acknowledge it, honor it, and then breathe out, let it go. And visualize it. Visualize feeling it, visualize the flowing of it, the actual flowing of it. This is quantum healing work. This is holographic healing at another level. Visualizing, presence, breathing, flow, all of it. So think of your awakening bodies. This is a good metaphor. Think of your awakening emotional body as like falling asleep on your arm, like your arm's gone to sleep when you leant on it for so long, suppressed it. And then as your arm starts waking up and you're getting all the tingling and the pain, and sometimes it's you can't even feel it, or it's unbearable. But that discomfort is what precedes the joy of full awakening. So just let it be. and walk through the process with focus, meticulous focus. And what waits for us on the other side of this emotional awakening is a state of being that's so rooted in the present moment and so balanced and so joyful that it can't be controlled or understood by the mind. It's a heart-centered, heart approach. This is healing from the heart, holographic heart healing. The intellect, the mind, it can't grapple with that. You know, it keeps trying to grapple with things and keeping us stuck and anchored in 3D. When we move things to the heart and we become more heart-centered and flow, you know, that's true healing, that's quantum healing. This is the domain of the heart. Your heart is calling you, and it's time to listen to that call. I hope that was helpful. Namaste. I love you very much, and I hope you'll join me again really, really soon.